Do you even know what you ask? As each servant of Mythal reached the end of their years, they would pass their knowledge on through this. All that we were, all that we knew, it would be lost forever.
The well is a reminder of what was lost. A sorrow that cuts their heart. A dead god who no longer hears their call. They are only left with the memories of her glory, her wisdom, and her justice, the Virabella-san. In the ancient Elven text, the direct translation to the Virabella-san is broken down like this. Vir is translated to path or way, Abelas translates to sorrows, and An usually refers to place or home. So putting it together, Virabella-san would translate to path to the home of sorrows. And of course, that is how we know the Well of Sorrows. Hello Thedosians, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about the consequences of the one who partook in drinking this well of knowledge that contained all the collective wisdom and understanding of the ancient priests of Mythal. For the sake of this video, I obviously don't know what will happen to the one who drank from the well going forward in Dragon Age 4, and despite that, there's still plenty of lore and speculation to be unearthed surrounding the future of this well and its consumer.
What will you do with the power of the well once Corypheus is dead?
Of course, that statement is why we are here today. What will we do with the power of the well? The implications and potential impacts on Elven culture are enormous. How has the Inquisitor used the knowledge of the well in the last 2 years? How have the elves and society at large reacted to its existence? Will this well provide an advantage in the future, or will it be lost? It's been quite the mystery regarding what will happen to the one who drank from the well, and how our choices will produce enormous consequences going forward. So let's break down the information we receive from Inquisition. Corypheus's motivation. According to the War Table, Corypheus began searching the Arba Wilds for elven artifacts. Morgan assumed that he was searching for an Eluvian to physically enter the Fade, but when she and the Inquisitor overheard him talking about the Well of Sorrows and potentially a vessel to claim this well, they doubted that this Eluvian was the Magister's true goal. The vessel was turned out to be either Calpurnia or Samson. Corypheus's plan was to use someone as a vessel, then wipe their mind and control them using blood magic, thus circumventing their connection to Mythal while retaining the knowledge gained from the well. Now, the game doesn't specifically recall Corypheus personally wanting to drink from the well himself, but to rather use someone as his blood magic controlled vessel. So why does Corypheus need to take the well? The best answer is lost knowledge and being the key to the Eluvian crossroads. However, in further codices read in the game, it seems that Corypheus knew about the orb's origin and planned to use the well as a source of knowledge to ancient Elven times. However, Corypheus's motivation seems less explained about how to use the vessel. It's just assumed that he really needed the Eluvian to enter the Fade.
I am willing to pay the price the well demands. I am also the best suited to use its knowledge in your service.
Morgan. Morgan explains that the Eluvian and this temple are a reminder of what was lost and how it needs to be preserved. Morgan believes that she alone can handle using the well to its best potential and therefore will sacrifice herself for this task.
Give me this and I fight at your side. I shall be your sword.
However, it leaves room to let BioWare control the aspect of your world state. Morgan never changes her opinion of drinking the well, but the sacrifice becomes much more dramatic if she is controlled by Mythal. And when Morgan drinks it, it kind of feels like she's reached her potential. In Origins, she could shapeshift into a spider, a bear, a swarm, and other upgraded forms of those, but she never reached the point of Flemeth. By drinking from the well, it feels like she's become what she's meant to be, the heritaged form of Flemeth, the dragon. It seems pretty clear that the desired canon is for Morgan to drink. However, if Kieran is in the picture, it might not be the best decision. The risk of drinking from the well is very irresponsible in this world state because she has a young child dependent on her. This is where the world state becomes harsh against Morgan. She's bounded against her mother from the consequences and lust for power. It leaves her no choice but to accept Flemeth's promise to her daughters, which is Mythal and her reckoning.
Of those present, I alone have the training to make use of this. Let me drink, Inquisitor.
You alone? This is my heritage.
Inquisitor. Now, if the Inquisitor drinks from the well, it seems to perplex many companions due to the danger inside the well. And when studying the arcane knowledge in the war table, your dialogue option makes you aware of this danger.
Looking at it, listening to it. That's not just knowledge from the ancient elven priests, it's their will. The collective will of the priests puts anyone who drinks under a compulsion, a gas. Can't you feel it?
You figure out that the well will indefinitely put you in the same will as the priests had. The Inquisitor lets Morgan know that this will still put anyone under their compulsion and become a priest of Mythal like in ancient times. However, the term gas isn't used too often in Dragon Age, but all gas abilities are related to the mind, influencing such aspects as will, thought, memory, emotion, and perception. So, at the end of the dialogue, you as the Inquisitor are fully aware that this well will control your mind and perception, and that this will be the boon of Mythal. So if you do drink, your Inquisitor will become overwhelmed by many voices and potentially lead you to do things out of your own volition.
So many voices. They would be in your head, talking over you. You don't want them.
And that is another reason why Solas has a reaction to the Inquisitor drinking from the well. He was angry at the Inquisitor who surrendered their free will, something Solas despises as displayed by his attitude towards the Qun, but his vehemence in the scene makes it seem like there's something more going on.
You gave yourself into the service of an ancient elven god!
You gain the memories that have been put in there by Mythal's priest, but it also contains their will. So whoever drinks from the well is bound to Mythal's will for eternity, and Solas knows you can be a part of that.
You are Mythal's creature now. Everything you do, whether you know it or not, will be for her. You have given up a part of yourself.
Now, I know some people might have gone further, stating that Solas could be one of those servants that bestowed his knowledge in the Well of Sorrows, but as for me, however, I would have to disagree. I believe he kept his own knowledge to himself personally, and I also feel like that well was a reminder of what once was lost, all because of Fen'Harel creating the Veil and Mythal's death, putting the ancient elves in eternal hiding and sorrow throughout the ages. And maybe a part of it where he denied the well was that he doesn't want to hold the voices of hundreds of elves who he condemned to an eternal suffering and sorrow in his head all at once. So the last person to drink from this well would be Solas. He would never be able to control himself after that, and it's against his very nature and view of free will.
What about you, Solas?
No. Do not ask me again.
To finalize on the Inquisitor, it is not encouraged through BioWare's scripting to drink, but it also allows us as a player to control our option and make use of the well to what we see fit to defeat Corypheus and even throughout Trespasser. Solas and Flemeth. Here is the big part of why I am making this video. There has been a lot of theories, and I mean a lot, that discuss Solas being the new vessel of Mythal. I will not deny that idea, but I personally believe that if that were to happen, Solas could be lying about free will in that sense if this becomes true. But let's add on to why this is not the case. Solas isn't taking in Flemethal the same way that one who drank from the well is. That's why she leaves behind the husk that looks like anthracite coal, an identical look to Solas's orb when depleted. His action was to simply draw power from her, not her essence, memory, being, or inheritance to Solas. And callback from Tevinter Nights confirms this. It revealed the mural's final form, an outline of a beast stood over a stabbed dragon, two figures painted on either side of a pane of glass with confused forms. The beast is shown to be a horrifying wolf, having absorbed the dragon's power, stood crooked over all. This mural relates exactly to Solas absorbing an aspect of Flemeth's power. This was always his intention, regardless of the orb's destruction or not. And with Flemeth's power now invested since the end of Inquisition, Solas has risen as the Dread Wolf to seek justice to those who betrayed Mythal. And it is very smart for BioWare to allow us to see Flemeth let a piece of herself that looks identical to what we saw with Kirin into the Illuvian. Solas is not the right person to claim Mythal's essence. That was always a promise Flemeth has never broken to her daughters. Flemethal made it very clear that she intended that gift for Morrigan. And I don't see Flemethal being caught off guard by Solas before she accomplishes that goal. She seems to give up whatever was left to herself willingly, so the next to claim Mythal would be Morrigan, who could control the Inquisitor. But for the sake of this video, I will attempt to delve into Solas controlling the Inquisitor if they drink from the well. And honestly, for an Inquisitor who romanced Solas, it'd be such a strange and probably beautiful prospect. Mostly just because of the lore aspect between what we might see in the next game and the relationship Solas had with Mythal. The Inquisitor could align to that as well, and could almost be free from being bound to him due to his nature of being against the binding. However, I'm not sure any relationship in history would be considered healthy when one person has literal complete control over the other entire being. So if this were to happen, Solas would need to be consistent with his free will ideas and let the Inquisitor go freely as they please. To finalize, it really is up to BioWare to control the aspect of the well's powers and how it will resolve in the next game. The Well of Sorrows is an ancient pool dedicated to the last priest of Mythal. Whether you or Morrigan drink from it is going to be prevalent in Dragon Age 4. So, what do you think about the Well of Sorrows? Did you let your Inquisitor drink from it, or let Morrigan drink? And if so, tell me why. What is your opinion about drinking from the well and how it will affect the next game?